Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel. In today's video we're going to be discussing whether 2022 is the right time to buy a diesel, or whether a diesel is the right car to buy in 2022. I make this video every year because I think it's important to keep tabs on where we are as a nation in terms of our views on diesel cars and emissions, etc. And I think the media are focused on this a lot because of COP26 and all sorts of stuff like that, so it's quite a pertinent topic. Now, full disclosure, I'm a diesel lover. This car here is a diesel, my other car's a diesel, my last 3 cars have been diesels, and for me they suit absolutely every one of my needs, and sort of don't give me what a petrol, or the petrol doesn't give me what the diesel does in regards to my uses. So yeah, that's just thought we'd get out of the way so you guys know where I stand on it. But should you buy a diesel in 2022? So the media have been slamming diesels a lot recently, so much so that only about 15% of new cars sold were diesel in 2021, when it used to be, well, in the noughties it was 60% of diesels, 60% of new cars were diesels, and then year before last it was well, it just dropped. It's just dropped massively, and this year it's dropped the lowest since diesel sort of came onto the main market. So things are changing, I think, in the car market. But should you let that affect you? I think diesels offer fantastic versatility in the fact that you can get a fast diesel that does good miles per gallon, and that's one of my main draws for this. This car here is 230 horsepower with the Polestar stuff on it, and it'll still do 50 to the gallon on the motorway. For a 2-ton Swedish barge, that's pretty good. Now, you can get diesel engines that will do 2-litre diesels with well over 200 horsepower that will do 60 to the gallon. And for a long time in the noughties, the government was telling us that was the way to do it, because you use less fuel, CO2 emissions can be lower as well with the filters, etc. And it just made a lot of sense. So things have changed. Like, people are worried about NOx emissions now, etc. So I think if you live in a city, primarily London or Birmingham or one of the major cities in the UK, these low emission zones are becoming more and more common, so you need to consider that. You could spend a couple of grand on a diesel car and have to sell it, and it'd be worthless where you live because they get banned. Now, you'll notice here that I'm in quite a rural area, and to be honest, we're probably going to be one of the last places that diesel is ever banned, if it is at all, just because we're so sparsely populated, and there's so little pollution here that it doesn't really matter. No one's really affected by a diesel car driving past their house, in comparison to hundreds of thousands of diesel cars sitting in traffic in London. So that's something to consider. I still think diesels are a fantastic proposition if you live somewhere like I do. If you do lots of miles, definitely worth getting a diesel over a petrol. Petrols just can't achieve the same blend of power and economy that a diesel can. So there's not much point arguing between those things. Now, I find that diesels are, in certain cases, more fun to drive in terms of the fact they've got more torque, so you can have a bit more fun, lower down grunt, etc. Petrols rev higher, tend to have higher horsepower, but less torque. And to be honest, torque is what you feel when driving. So if I put my foot down now, it's the torque that pushes me forward, and you can see we're up to 60 now. So in the UK you can't really rev cars out because the way the speed limits are just don't allow you to do it. So yeah, that's one of my main thoughts. Now, electric cars, etc. For me, an electric car is still too compromised. This car has a range of up to 900 miles on a tank of diesel. Currently the best electric car on the market, Tesla Model 3 long range, £70,000 that car starts, and gives a real world fuel economy, a real world electric range of 280 miles, which is less than a third of this. So yeah, I mean, I don't have an ability to charge my car on my drive, so I'd have to go and wait half an hour in somewhere I didn't really want to be. It's just, yeah, for me it doesn't make sense at the moment. The idea of it's nice, but without the range and the versatility, I think we're not quite there. So should you buy a diesel car in 2022? Well, like I said, it depends on your use case. If you're going to be doing lots of miles, then absolutely you should. They still offer cheaper running costs, less carbon emissions than petrol equivalents, and overall just offer a better solution for people who do longer miles. They can be more reliable long term because they're running sort of less revs, and therefore last longer, the engines, and they're generally sort of heavy, beefy engines. So that is something that sort of always draws me to diesels. All the cars with the highest mileages, if you look on Auto Trader, are all diesels. You don't get them in the petrol cars. So that to me says a lot. And a lot of the cars that I like, in terms of sort of mid-noughties cars, I personally think that's probably the last era of good cars. I think after the 2013 onwards, things became too political, and then were just not good for us petrol heads. But now, unfortunately, the GoPro decided to stop working, so I'm going to have to redo my outro with just a quick voiceover. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. If you have a petrol Volvo, why did you go for petrol over diesel? If you've got a diesel, why did you go for diesel over petrol? I think, again, it just depends on use cases. This was the same case last year with diesels. Whatever you need it for, you need to buy the right car for you. And in my case, that is diesel. Anyone who does any mileage and uses their car, diesel. Anyone who does short little journeys into town, etc., or lives in a place where there aren't oil diesels, then you've obviously got to go petrol, electric, or even hydrogen. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!